Hello again, Steve here with a few comments on what I'm going to call there's no such thing as unemployment. And, a lot of times people talk about the economy, this and that, and there's some validity to that for sure. Whether it's vibrant, hot, a little sleepy, whatever. But what I've found is that as long as there's people, other people living in where I'm living, near where I'm living, there's employment. Because everybody has a desire to get something fixed, to solve some issue, to complete a project, to get some work done, to have some help done, etc. What there is, I think, as opposed to a lack of employment, is a lack of creativity on the part of those who are seeking employment, because there's a definition of what employment is. So, for example, and I'm not going to once again toot my horn, but this is an example that is fairly fresh to me. A little over a year ago, as I am again back here now, I was on the prairies and in a fairly vibrant area. Had lots of work, lots and lots of work. And then my wife wanted to go to southern Ontario, near Detroit, and if you know about Detroit, it's kind of a bit of an economic backwater, you might say, right now, or had been anyway. So just south of Detroit, I call it a Detroit suburb of Windsor, Ontario. So she wanted to go there. And the word was that there's no jobs there, there's no employment there. You got to know somebody, or you have to have your job, but I mean, it's just high unemployment and so on. Well, I'm not usually the type to listen to this sort of these sort of assertions, right? I don't want to check it out. My belief was then, as it is now, that there's people there, so there must be some needs for something. So I brought along my regular little toolbox, as I do handyman work. As soon as I got there, and I put an ad on Kijiji or something that I do handyman work. And just very similar to what would happen in Saskatoon when I was here, the phone started ringing. Can you do this? Can you do that? And I was just as busy there doing the same work as I was here. Surprise, surprise, I was told that there's no work there, but I found there to be lots of work there. Here's the difference, right? Here's the difference. I had to be creative to adjust and be okay with the offers that were being made to me. And as it turns out, the offers that were being made to me were slightly less than half the amount of compensation as to what I'd get here. Which was actually fine because I didn't have any overhead. In fact, I did fine. Lots of money at the end of the day. But that's what I found was it wasn't a lack of employment. There's just a lack of... If I had gone there and said, nope, I was getting X amount here, that's what I'm going to take there, I wouldn't have got any work. I would have found, in fact, I would have confirmed that there's no employment available. But I said, I'm going to let the market tell me, not me tell the market, right? That's my approach to things. Is in a free enterprise, free market system, there has to be a free negotiation. And the other side has to have their input. If I'm just dictating and they have options, they're going to go and take the options, right? So, yeah, lots of work. So my hope is that more and more people would see that there is, as long as there's lots of people living in a place, there's employment. And this is why I don't worry about this whole talk of recession, depression, financial meltdowns, and all this sort of thing. People are creative, and as long as people are living, they're going to want to continue to live, and they're going to want help doing stuff. And it doesn't matter, even if there's, well, it does in the short term because there's a lot of mayhem or whatever, but as long as people are creative, and we have things that we can trade and negotiate for and exchange and share, then even if there's no such thing as a currency really, we can go back to barter for a while until we establish a currency. And so the most important thing, I think, instead of tickets and diplomas and all that stuff, it can be valuable in, a very controlled market. But in the case of moving around and wanting to be flexible, what's more important is skill set. Can you actually do it? Can you perform the way you say you do, or that's expected of you? I mean, can you imagine if all of a sudden musicians had to have a certificate in order to play guitar or something like that, and you wanted to hire a really great guitar player for your cafe? Would you really care about the certificate, or would you care about the quality that's produced? Probably you'd care about the quality that's produced, right? And that's sometimes what I ask when people ask me, do I have licenses, certificates, permits, all that? Sometimes I'll ask, and sometimes I don't get the job because of asking, because some people are sticklers to it. I'll ask, do you want a certificate or do you want your job done? But that's an aside. Point being, on a positive quality of life experiencing point and suggestion that's coming from somebody who's had a little bit of experience of it, we don't have to buy into this nonsense that there's no economy or there's no employment. It's very often what we're lacking. What was happening within us is we have a lack of creativity and a lack of openness to negotiate. Okay, make me an offer, right? Make me an offer. And the way I did it here with my handyman thing is, I started out with I asked the first guy who asked me, what do you charge? I say, I don't charge anything. And I remember one woman, she said, well, no, that doesn't work for me. I got to get somebody who'll charge. So I just hung up. Fine, fair enough. Hung up. She didn't understand the game, right? She didn't understand free enterprise. Didn't understand, even though I explained to her that let's have a free exchange of ideas rather than me just tell you. Because I can make the offer of what I can provide for you, right? I can tell you that yes, I can build that deck and I can make it look like this. That's what I have to offer. That's what I give. Now what's that worth to you? What are you gonna give me? Right? That's a free exchange. Another way of doing it, of course, which is most common, is I'll build it and here's what you gotta give me. That's fine too. It's a fair deal. It's a free exchange still. But my approach though, in terms of this zero unemployment is, and how it worked when I started this handyman thing, was I just said to the guy, what's it worth to you? And he told me. So I think I started with $17 an hour. And then I'd be working along and somebody asked me, well, how much would you charge for this? And I said, well, this guy's paying me $17 an hour and I'm getting lots of work. And it was $17 an hour. I just paid like $35 to get this done. Yeah, how about I give you $24 an hour? It was fair enough. So then I go work there, and now who do I want to go work for, right? If the job is similar. So it's like a trickle up prosperity. And then when I went to the other place, because the economic situation and the availability of people's mindset about money, they weren't there at 30 or something like that, right? So I started with the same thing again. Look, I can do this. What's it worth to you, right? What's it worth to you? The first guy said, well, it's worth like, less than half. Because I told him, because he asked me, what do you charge? Well, I said, well, out west I was charging, 28, 30 an hour or whatever. Or I wasn't charging, that's what people were paying me. So I can't pay you that, but I can pay you, maybe somewhat less than half. Fair enough. I wasn't working anyway, right? So I started working steady. 8 hours, 10 hours a day. Doing the same stuff. Plumbing, electrical, carpentry, concrete, all of it. And then somebody else called me up and said, well, what are you charging? I said, I don't charge, but this is what this guy's paying me. Well, I'll pay you $1 more, And the whole thing started over again there. It's the same thing exactly, but zero unemployment. And when I came back out west to visit, they were calling me, when are you coming back? We need you. And it was a lot of fun. So my opinion, as long as there's people out there that we can negotiate and trade with, there's no such thing as unemployment. There's fences to be painted, there's grass to be mowed, there's people who need massage, there's health care, there's fitness instructors required, there's tree cutters and whatever it is that people want. If people think about it, people live in houses, people drive cars, people have health issues, people have pets, children and clothing, and all of these things people need help with these things. So there's never such a thing as unemployment, just a lack of creativity. I want to realize that can alleviate some worries in the minds of some, and alleviating the worries can help to improve the quality of our life experience, I would say. Hope this is helpful. Steve here again, saying bye-bye for now. Great chat, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye for now.